This is my English project for my senior year, semester one. So I chose the book Blood Meridian, and I'm doing the podcast video essay thing. This book takes place in the Old West, where pretty much anything goes. It also takes place a little bit after the Mexican-American War. So what happens is Mexican people, white people, and Native American people are all at odds with each other and are fighting, which is very relevant because that is the historical background that kind of drives the book forward. So this is going to be a short rundown of what happens in the book. I will have a longer one after this if you're interested. If not, you can just skip it. But what happens in the book is there's a kid who joins a scalp hunting gang. So what they do is they are hired by the Mexican government to hunt Native American people for their scalps, which is the bit at the top of your head. They'll just grab your hair, cut it off, and then what they do is they trade these scalps for money. And that is the kid's main sense of purpose, is joining this gang, and it follows the gang throughout their history until they disband and stuff goes crazy. So why does the kid do this? So this is going to be a short character analysis on a couple of various characters that I find very important, but mostly the kid and Judge Holden. So the kid, the reason why he went out to Texas to join a gang is it's not directly said, but it was implied he was abused at a young age. His mom died young, and his dad was an alcoholic, and he ends up running away because of this. And he runs as far as Texas, and this kid is very empathetic, but he's very violent. And even at the end of the book, he ends up trying to turn his life around. He carries a Bible around, even though he's illiterate and can't read. And he tries to help people when their town gets ravaged and all these things. So the kid is very empathetic, and he is the main character of the story, but a lot of bad things end up happening to the kid as a result of joining this gang. Some members of the gang are Glanton, which the gang is named after. He's basically just the de facto leader of the gang. Judge Holden, who's the main villain, and he is very interesting. He's one of my favorite characters in all of fiction now, but he is very much related to the devil. In fact, Cormac McCarthy's inspiration for Judge Holden was the devil from Paradise Lost. He is a polymath. He plays guitar, he plays the fiddle, which is another reference to him being the devil. I don't believe he's really the devil, but I believe that the parallels are definitely there. My phone just ran out of storage, so if it feels like I lost my train of thought, I definitely did. But I believe I was just on Judge Holden. So, Judge Holden, parallels to the devil. He's a very interesting character, and he's very weird and, like, mysterious. In the book, it's said that he was found and joined the gang when he was just sitting on a rock, half naked in the desert with a rifle. And he has a book where he writes down everything he sees, different species of birds, different plants, and he says that anything that exists without his knowledge in this world also does so without his consent, and he wants to be like the overlord or warlord of everything. And he frequently goes on diatribes and tirades about how war is God and how the only reason humans exist are for games, and there's no game greater than war because the stakes are as high as they can possibly be. The other most important member of the gang is this guy named Tobin, who was an ex-priest, and he probably has the second most empathy and, like, moral compass out of the gang behind the kid. And this goes as far as him protecting the kid from Judge Holden, because later in the book we find out that Judge Holden is not a good guy. He is a serial child, you know. And since our character is not 18, the judge does find interest in him, which obviously just cannot possibly go well. Now I'm going to go into a longer plot analysis. So the story starts with a kid who lived in Tennessee with his parents, one of which died young and the other was an alcoholic, which I had mentioned earlier. He ends up running away, which is implied by abuse, and he ends up finding himself in Texas, where he joins the Glanton Gang, which I was just talking about a second ago. And the Glanton Gang, they scalp people, which you cut off their scalp, you take their hair, just cut it right off, and then they go to the Mexican government and get money for Native American scalps. And eventually, they find out they can scalp Mexican people, bring it to the Mexican government, and get away with it as long as they aren't found. So what happens is they start going to villages and all of these people, and they are scalping Mexican citizens. And eventually, some people get away. There were witnesses, and they report it to the Mexican government, and now the government is after the gang. Now the Mexican government is sending soldiers and all these people to go after the gang and try to kill them because they're killing Mexican citizens. It doesn't work very well. And in fact, the people who end up taking out and disbanding the Galantan gang were a group of Yumas, which was a Native American tribe. And this happens after they realize they can't get away with scalping anymore. So they set up a trade post where they attack traders and all these people trying to cross the river on their pile of gold, very Beowulf dragon style. They're just sitting on all this loot that they have gathered over the years because they've lost their sense of purpose because they can't scalp people anymore. And eventually the Yuma tribe, they attack their little port area, and Judge Holden is found naked rather, with a 11-year-old girl. And he knew the Yumas were coming. He had a cannon under his arm, and he walks off with the girl and the cannon into the woods, butt naked. And he is huge, so no one's gonna stop him. He is 7 feet tall, albino. He is completely hairless, and which almost makes him this larger than life supernatural figure that is unstoppable. Now that the Lantern Gang is disbanded and the judge is unleashed upon the world, pretty much, he doesn't have a leader anymore and he's off to his own devices. His evil really starts to show, and he goes and hunts down the kid and the ex-priest, and he ends up shooting the ex-priest in the neck. He doesn't hit the artery, but he hits him like around right here, and it goes through his neck and somehow doesn't kill him. But the kid from the attack with the Yumas has an arrow in his knee, and they narrowly escape, and the kid ends up growing up and becoming the man. I'm going to keep calling the man the kid just for continuity, but the kid ends up going to the bar, and the entertainment at the bar is a dancing bear, which I assume is just a dude in a costume. But the bear ends up getting shot in the bar, shot dead, and the girl on a music box who was playing the music for the bear to dance to starts crying. And who does the man see in the bar but Judge Holden, who shot the bear to get his attention? So now the judge uses the dancing bear as a diatribe and an example and a metaphor. So what he ends up doing is he compares the bear in dancing to life. And you can either participate in the dance and kill people and do all these terrible things and really like take the reins of your own life, or you could not dance and do what is considered good. I believe the ending of the book is best done reading out of the book because I cannot do it justice. So we're going to start with, he smiled, his great teeth shone, and he drank. An event, a ceremony, the orchestration thereof. The overture carries certain marks of decisiveness. It includes the slaying of a large bear. The evening's progress will not appear strange nor unusual, even to those who question the rightness of the event so ordered. A ceremony, then. One could well argue that there are not categories of no ceremony, but only ceremonies of greater or lesser degree, and deferring to this argument, we will say that this is a ceremony of certain magnitude, perhaps more commonly called a ritual. A ritual includes the letting of blood. Rituals which fail in this requirement are but mock rituals. Here every man knows the false at once. Never doubt it. That feeling in the breast that evokes a child's memory of loneliness, such as when the others have gone and the only game left is with a solitary participant. A solitary game without opponent, where only rules are at hazard. Do not look away. We are only speaking in mysteries. You, of all men, are no stranger to that feeling. The emptiness and despair is that which we take arms against, is it not? Is it not blood, the tempering agent in the mortar which bonds? The judge leans closer. What do you think death is, man? Of whom do we speak, and when do we speak a man who was and is not? Oh, I'm so dyslexic. Hang on. Are these blind riddles, or are they not some part of every man's jurisdiction? What is death if not an agency? And whom does he intend towards? Look at me. I don't like the craziness. Nor I. Bear with me. So the judge is going on this crazy, crazy tirade about rituals and all these games and all these things. And the man is not having it. And the judge takes this as him not participating in the dance. So the man gets away, and to get his mind off it, he goes to a brothel. And after going to the brothel, he goes to an outhouse. And who does he see in the outhouse but the judge, naked, being creepy? And the judge is implied to have killed the man in the outhouse. Like before, I do believe the ending of the book, because after the man is killed, it goes back into the bar with the dancing and all of these things. And I believe it is best read out of the book, because Cormac McCarthy is very good at writing crazy, disorienting, and just insane stages, I guess, like scenes. Yeah, that's the word. And they are dancing, the board floor slamming under jackboots and the fiddlers grating hideously over their canted pieces. Towering over them all is the judge, and he is naked dancing, his small feet lively and quick, and now in double time, and bowing to the ladies, huge, pale, and hairless, like an enormous infant. He never sleeps, he says. He says he'll never die. He bows to the fiddlers and sashays backwards and throws back his head and laughs deep in his throat, and he is a great favorite, the judge. He wafts his hat, and the lunar dome of his skull passes palely under the lamps, and he swings about, takes possession of one of the fiddles, and pirouettes, make a pass, 2 passes, dancing and fiddling at once. His feet are light and nimble. He never sleeps. He says he will never die. He dances in light and in shadow, and he is a great favorite. He never sleeps, the judge. He is dancing, and he says that he will never die. This is very relevant for my character analysis of the judge, who is the other main character other than the kid. And in my opinion, the most interesting character in this book, if not one of the most in all of fiction. And his parallels to the devil, playing the fiddle, dancing, being crazy, believing war and games are the most important thing of all. So I believe the judge is the best representation of this entire book. His parallels to the devil, his playing the fiddle, his dancing, his believing games are the most valuable thing of all. And I don't think he is directly the devil, as a lot of people say in like college lectures on this book and all these things. But I believe he is a stand-in for evil, just as a concept. I believe that the devil is a stand-in for evil and depravity, because on his rifle, when he's first discovered in the desert, it is written in Latin on his rifle and it is a saying that represents that death and evil will be here as long as humanity is. So I believe that he is literally a stand-in for evil and depravity with his pedophilia and all of these things, his scalping people, him being violent and without purpose, is all just characterization of evil. But how do I feel about the book? I would give the book a solid 9.5 out of 10. The reason it doesn't get a perfect 10 is because it is such a difficult read. There's a lot of very gruesome and disgusting things going on in here, which I do believe are very important to the book, and I don't think it would be as powerful of a read without them. But also the vernacular that Cormac McCarthy has is almost unintelligible at times. I would find myself reading a page multiple times over before I understood what he was trying to say. That doesn't mean you shouldn't read the book. In fact, I think everyone should read this book because of how great it is. It is genuinely my new favorite book of all time. It is gruesome, it is very real, it is very powerful, it gets its message across beautifully, and it is just an insane story, and I could not recommend it enough. So that is my presentation on Blood Meridian. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a good grade. Thank you.